Hey there, it's BoardGameDave, and I am back finally after so much travel this summer. It's been an amazing time. I've been doing so many amazing, wonderful things. Of course, I was at Origins Game Fair in Columbus, Ohio not that long ago, and then Hannah and I went to Japan right after that to spend some time with family, and then I went to the hunting cabin with my family, my dad's side, and then we spent time with Hannah's family last week, and we've been doing beach trips and all kinds of amazing things. So I am back, and today I thought it'd be a great day to kind of do a quick Origins recap, although I know it's been a little bit, and talk about Japan a little bit, and then also maybe talk about kind of what's coming next for this channel. So first of all, Origins Game Fair in Columbus, Ohio. Now, this was my first time at Origins. It was also my first time ever going to a board game convention by myself. I got in a car, drove 6 hours, had an Airbnb lined up for myself, but beyond that, I didn't really know who I was going to see or spend time with. Beyond having some events scheduled throughout the week, I didn't really know what I was going to do. So I get there on Wednesday. Turns out Wednesday's more of like a prep day, like the main exhibit hall's not even open. I didn't know that. So most Wednesday I was kind of strolling around, getting a feel for the place. But then I did run into the designers of Wizards of the Grimoire, which is a game I really enjoyed, 2-player card game, and they let me play test their expansion that they're designing and kind of talk me through the solo mode that they're designing as well for Wizards of the Grimoire, which was really great. So after that, I played a little roll and write game called Trek 12 Himalaya, which I thought was okay. It didn't wow me, but that's all right. And then I ran into Juan from QVO Games and Drew from Boredom on Instagram, so that was great. Saw some familiar faces, and then we all went to dinner at this amazing, authentic German restaurant with them and some of their friends. So I got to meet a whole bunch of new people, designers and people on the content creation side of things. And then that night we kind of hung out at the hotel and played Anomia, which was great. So that was Wednesday. On Thursday, the first thing I did was play Blood on the Clock Tower with Mike from Board Games for One. Now, Mike had kind of conned me into playing Blood on the Clock Tower. I already was like, I'm not a big social deduction game. This does not seem like a game that's up my alley, but he coerced me into doing it and was like, hey, if nothing else, you can say on your channel that you played Blood on the Clock Tower. And I did, and I didn't really enjoy myself, but that's okay. It's not my kind of game. I don't need to go into it. I can understand why people like it, but I'm not a social deduction guy. So no surprises, wasn't, the game for me, and that's okay. After that, though, I did play an amazing game called Istanbul. I had scheduled to play this game with some people, and it was so much fun. I actually played the game on my phone on an app, but this was my first time playing in person, and I love Istanbul. It's such a good game by Rudiger Dorn, I believe, and it was great. And then I played Kabuto Sumo, which was really fun and kind of light and silly. And then I played A Fake Artist Goes to New York, which was really fun. Kind of a drawing game, which sort of has a deduction element. Basically, everyone knows the word that you're drawing together, except one person doesn't know what the word is. So they're just trying to fake it and act like they know what the word is, and you have to figure out who is the imposter. So that was really fun. And then I played Space Explorers with Dale, who taught me this game, which he called like a Splendor Killer. Really clever little card game. I liked it. Great theme, great art. And then let's see, after that we played Great Western Trail together actually as part of a tournament, and I actually won that game. It was a 3-player game, and I won, but then the next day was like the next round, and I had an event scheduled for that follow-up game, so I just said don't worry about that. But it was fun to win at Great Western Trail. And then the last game we played that day was The Boys with the designer and some of the people I had met the previous night. So played some of The Boys. It was a really interesting game based on, of course, the TV show. And that was my Thursday. And then Friday was actually my last day at Origins because I was leaving Saturday night for Japan. So my last day at Origins, I played Fiction, as Gedalia taught us this game, which was like a light party game based on Wordle, which was really interesting. And then I played one of my favorite games, Heaven and Ale, with Shelly and Lance from Michiana Board Gamery and Ben from Games with Ben on Instagram. I loved playing Heaven and Ale. It's such a great game. I always enjoyed playing that game. And then the last game I played was Luxor. It was like a play to win game. I'd never played Luxor before, but I actually did win and then let somebody else have the game because I did feel like I needed it in my collection and didn't want to take it home. So anyway, that was Friday, and then I drove home, and then it was time to go to Japan basically. Oh, but I did also get to see David and Emily from Man vs. Meeple, and Grant from Grant's Game Rex on Instagram, and Jesse and Shira from Quack jackalope. And like I always say, the best part about going to conventions, besides the board games and the exhibitors and all the excitement of new games, is spending time with people and getting to meet people that you only know from Instagram or whatever, and then you get to kind of see them in real life and make these connections. So I love getting to meet people and talk to people and spend time with friends, that I know outside of the board game hobby, and then also through board games. So meeting new friends, making new friends, I love it. It's fantastic. And Origins was a lot of fun. I wish I could have been there the whole time, but again, I was just there for 3 days. And then it was time for Japan. So Hannah and me and my sister and my mom all flew to Japan together. For about 2.5 weeks we stayed there. My mom is Japanese and we have some family over there. And unfortunately, we weren't able to see them since COVID, since Japan was very strict about kind of travel restrictions. So I finally got to go back to Japan after many years and take Hannah with me and kind of show her a lot of Japan, where I spent lots of time growing up, and she could meet my grandma, my aunt, and it was a wonderful trip. And I could go on and on and on and talk about Japan for, an hour probably. But thankfully, Hannah used this app called 1 Second a Day and made this amazing compilation of our trip, which kind of boils down a ton of what we did into a really short, quick compilation. So I'm gonna put that up here, and we can kind of, I'll just show you kind of some of the things that we were doing in Japan. We flew out of JFK, stopped in Hong Kong for a layover, and then ended up at my grandmother's house, where we stayed the whole time, of course. Not of course, but that's where we stayed. And Hannah was really interested in the wildlife and the bugs and the nature in Japan, so she has a lot of shots of like the wildlife and just the greenery and lovely things in Japan. Ate some amazing sushi. We ate really well the whole time we were in Japan. My grandma and my mom really kind of treated us to some amazing culinary experiences. We went to the arcade. Amy and Hannah were doing this purikura thing where it's like a photo booth thing that's really popular in Japan. That's my grandma's house there. It rained almost every day we were in Japan, which was unfortunate, but also not really unexpected because it was the rainy season there, and it was really humid and really hot and very rainy the whole time we were there, which is okay. We went to this beautiful park called Dazaifu Park, and they've preserved a lot of this architecture, and the whole park kind of town has this really beautiful historic like Djibouti vibe. We went to the Kyushu Museum where we learned a lot about Japanese artifacts and archaeology and history, which was great. Ate some ramen in those little ramen booths, which was nice. We took a train, by the way, almost every single day in Japan. I think there was only 1 or 2 days where we didn't take a train, and that was because the trains were stopped because of the flooding. So played some card games with my grandma. That was really, really nice. Beautiful shrines, amazing bakeries in Japan. The bread in Japan is just to die for. I live for Japanese bakeries. They're just amazing. And again, the food was just fantastic. Lots of rain. There was a lot of flooding. We actually had some evacuation scares where there was so much flooding and landslides in the area that they, were worried about the city, town that we were in, but it was okay. Beautiful food, things on skewers. Mr. Donuts is a big chain in Japan. We went to a really beautiful park in Ogori Park, and we had some tea, got on a ferry and went to this island called Nokonoshima. Flower Island is also what it's called, and took some great pictures, had a lovely time on this beautiful island that's all flowers. So yeah, that was a really nice time there. Took the ferry back, and there's the train again. And pretty much every time we got on the train, we like to get a drink from the vending machine at our station because it had all these really cool drinks that Hannah had never had before. And then more of Tenjin, which again is like a big shopping district there. Breakfasts at home at Obachan's house, lovely. We went to Ohori Park, had this great pond, and we did this little paddle boat thing, had great food, and saw all kinds of weird wildlife and things. And they had this beautiful Zen garden thing, did some tea there, went to go see this ancient castle that's preserved from hundreds of years ago. And then we went to a baseball game. Fukuoka has a really strong baseball team, so we went to one of their big baseball games. Hannah loved it. She's a baseball fan, so it's such a different vibe in Japan because they take it so seriously. Japan's their national sport. Spent some time with family, friends. This was really neat. So we got on a bullet train to go to Kyoto, Japan, which you might know is a big city, very, very popular, famous city in Japan. It was very crowded, tons of visitors, even though, again, it was so hot and humid, but there's a lot of people there visiting these shrines and these beautiful pagoda, towers, and it was just a beautiful, amazing trip. We saw monkeys at the monkey park. That was great. We got on a rickshaw ride, and the guy was so interesting. The guy was pulling our rickshaw. He was super, super fun. Went to a cat cafe in Kyoto. I loved the cat cafe. Took the bullet train back home. That was some of the flooding evacuation notices. And that was a park near our house. And there's me. Oh, and then Hannah was like really dying to get a kabutomushi, like a staghorn beetle. And I told her when we were kids, they were like all over the place and we would just find them on the trees nearby our house. But apparently it seems like that's not very common anymore. So we actually went to a pet store or like a regular Walmart or whatever kind of store, and they had these kabutomushi, these stag beetles. So we did get one there, and Hannah loved this beetle. Got some ramen on the street, had some street food, did some salsa dancing, impromptu salsa dancing with my sister and my aunt, which was nice. Reading some Japanese comic books. We went to the science museum, which was so much fun. There's me kind of going through the astronaut G-force thing. It was intense. And then this was pretty much the end. So this is the airport as we were leaving. It was really hard to say goodbye this trip. It felt just hard to leave. You know, we had such an amazing time. But anyway, that was Japan. It was an amazing trip, absolutely life-changing. Hannah feels she was so moved and inspired by Japan. So we had an amazing trip, and being able to take my fiance and spend time with my sister and my mom and my grandma and my aunt, it was just amazing. And all the exploring we got to do and all the amazing food we got to eat, I loved it. It was the highlight of my summer easily so far. But now I'm back, and I think we're done with our big trips for the summer. So I'm ready to get back into the routine of making videos every week, and I have so many great games to talk about and content to create. I recently was sent Far Shore, which I've been playing solo and with Hannah, so lots to say about that game. You've probably seen a lot about Far Shore already. I actually just got a package today in the mail, which included Hive Pocket for the beach, Shifting Stones, which I was really bummed I didn't have this game in Japan because my family, I think in Japan, would have really enjoyed Shifting Stones, and Arceus Society, which I know is a very new release. I'm very excited to play this with people and show them this game, which is a sort of like an Ethnos reprint, sort of, not quite. Yesterday, I received Cluster, which is simply a magnet game. You just try to play all your magnets inside this little loop of ribbon or whatever. It's so much fun. I played this with some friends yesterday and we had a hoot. Cluster is a surprisingly really fun, interesting game. I actually bought one game at Origins. I got Resurgence, signed by the designer Stan Kordonsky, who did Endless Winter. So I'm very excited to explore Resurgence as soon as I get a chance. It's kind of a heavier game, so I'll get to that eventually. My friend Connor has been letting me borrow Glenmore Chronicles forever, and I finally, the Highlands Expedition or expansion, which has the solo mode. So he's been letting me borrow this, and yesterday I finally taught myself the solo mode, and I love it. So maybe I'll do a solo play Sunday with Glenmore Chronicles, which is an amazing game. And I also have a curveball. I have a cookbook that was sent to me. It's the Ultimate Gamer's Cookbook, Recipes for an Epic Game Night. And I actually started making some of the recipes in this book. So eventually I'll have to review this and show you some of the things that I've made from this cookbook. So lots of content to make, lots of games to talk about, and that is coming very, very soon on this channel. So make sure you're subscribed, make sure you're staying in tune for all these games we'll be talking about very, very soon. Speaking of subscribing, I really need to mention that this channel recently hit 5,000 subscribers here on YouTube, which is absolutely extraordinary. I did not ever think that I would be having this channel with so many subscribers. I really appreciate all of your interest and comments and support and just the feedback I've gotten through the years. So thank you so much for being here, for checking out the videos. I know today was kind of like a weird, more of a vlog or update sort of video, but we'll get back to regular game reviews and playthroughs and stuff very, very soon. But thank you for being here. If you're not subscribed already, of course, you're welcome to subscribe. If you're not following me on Instagram, you can also find me over there. I'm just BoardGameDave over there on Instagram as well, so you can find me there. And yeah, stick around for lots of great videos coming down the road. I'm very, very excited to get back into the groove of talking about board games, something I really love to do already. So anyways, thank you for watching. I really appreciate you sticking around. In the meantime, I hope you have a wonderful week. Take care and happy gaming. Bye.